Hi everyone, I've decided to do another video and I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't actually done any sewing for a couple of days. So this quilt stayed on my machine unquilted, but today's the day I need to finish it because I need to take it with me when I go back to the UK on Tuesday, and we're now on Saturday and I have stuff to do on Sunday, and Monday's just going to be crazy. So my plan today is to finish quilting and also to bind the edges of the quilt. I'll show you a little bit more on that in a minute as well, but I thought I'd also talk about some of the fabrics that I've bought, and I just wondered if you might have some ideas for things I can do with them. So I've got this nice knit fabric. So yeah, I bought this one, and I've got the pattern that I want to sew out of this. I want to sew a Lola dress by Victory Patterns, and I think that'll look pretty nice. I bought another couple of Lewis and Irene fabrics. These can be quite hard to get over here. I know that they're really common in the UK, and these were from fabricforless.ca. I'm actually part of a Facebook group, and they're called Canadian Fabrics for Sale or something like that. I mean, if you Google it, you'll find it. And Valerie on there was the person who was selling these, and I just think they're really cute. So here is the sea otters. No idea what I'm going to do with these yet. I think one might look really nice as a bag though. I also have more otters, but in the light blue. And two more prints. This collection is called Down by the River. And this has some herons and some swans and goslings, and yeah, kind of nice. And then my last one I bought is a similar kind of scene, but it has ducklings and kingfishers, and I think the otters make an appearance again too. And then I was in a thrift store earlier in the week, and I saw these, and these were $1.60. And it's basically the print on the front of this swatch book, which is the reason why I bought this. I just think it's really nice. But the thing is, the question I have for you is, what can I make out of something where the swatches are only, well, this big? Probably not as deep as a fat quarter, so it's probably close to kind of being between a fat quarter and a fat eighth. And it's kind of like an upholstery-ish kind of fabric. It's a bit thicker than usual, so I was thinking maybe wallets or something like that. So we have that colourway. We also have this colourway, which is nice. And there is a greeny one, which is a little bit weird. Not really my thing. And then there are some other fabrics in there which aren't as nice. Things like this, which I do not need. And some corrugated stuff too. That might make pockets or something. So yeah, I bought this little swatch book, and I think those three fabrics probably make it worth the $1.60. Yeah, so we're going to go visit some family. Next time I do a video, I'd like to say I would still do one next week, and that will be from my old sewing group, which was the East Midlands Modern Quilt Group, not the Modern Quilt Guild. Yeah, so I haven't been back for 18 months, so it'd be nice to go and see them. I'll take a hand sewing project, probably won't do much of it, probably just eat cake, and that'll be nice to catch up, see what everyone else is doing. So I might do one of these video blog things from the guild meeting itself, so that'll be nice. And I might even have an extra bonus video blog tomorrow, perhaps, or maybe just some extra little clips that I'll put on my blog, and that's blog.pennydog.com. Tomorrow is the open house event for my sewing room in Calgary, and what they do there is they usually have fabrics on sale and special offers on things like batting, and you can meet, and sewing machines are on special prices just for that day. And you can meet the teachers for the forthcoming classes, and I have 4 classes coming up. I'd show you some samples on here, but they're all at the shop right now, being displayed in there. So I have 4 more classes. One of them is, well, 2 of them have carried over from last time, One is English paper piecing, which was really successful last time, and we always had a good turnout for that, so I think we can keep filling classes on that. And then the other one I did was called the Venti tote bag, and it was using a quilt as you go technique, and we made these big kind of laundry basket size bags. I wouldn't call it a tote myself, but that's the name of the pattern. It's called the Venti tote bag. And yeah, I tried to run it twice last season, and one class didn't go because I think I positioned it one of the classes Easter weekend, and people couldn't always make it because they were going camping or doing whatever they do on the long weekends. So I have decided to do that one more time just to see if I can get people in August. And then the other two classes are new. One of them is the Craftex wallet, which Craftex is this weird kind of papery leather, I think it is a paper that you can sew through, and so I've made a wallet using a kit that they've put together at the class. So we'll be constructing that together, and it's nice because you don't have to worry about sewing everything right sides together so that you've got the seam allowance on the inside. You can literally sew everything on top of each other. It's quite nice. And then the other class I have is Blanche Barrel Bag. And the Blanche Barrel bag is quite an easy pattern. There's not a whole lot of pockets and things to sew in there, but it does use vinyl, which I think is useful, and there's a few faux vinyls that they have in stock at the shop, and that's where I got one of mine from. And also I wanted to teach about hardware and attaching rivets, because there are so many layers when you fold that vinyl to make the handles. You have something like 8 layers of the vinyl, and it's just, you can't sew through that, even with a machine like mine where it's mechanical and it's designed to sew through thick layers. It's not fun. So I will teach rivets and just general tips about how to use hardware too. So that will be quite a nice class. It'll be reasonably beginner friendly, and the results look really professional. I'm actually using one of those bags as my own personal bag at the minute. So this is what I'm working on. This is for the September issue of Popular Patchwork, which I mentioned in my last video blog. I'm just quilting at the minute. We're well over halfway, which is nice. So far I've quilted red lines, red thread this way, and now I'm going to quilt purple thread this way. So I've already done, I don't know, just over a quarter of the opposite sewing on there, and I've been using my walking foot on my machine. The reason why I chose to do different colours is because this red fabric here, I'm not quite sure how well you can see it on the camera, but this is a crossweave fabric. So the threads on the fabric go a red one direction and blue the other, and that's how you get this kind of, you're not quite sure what colour it is kind of effect. So that's what inspired me to use different thread, and the thread that I use is one called Isocord, and I'll show you that in a minute too. So I'm just going to work my way across there. I've used a fusible batting for the first time too, so this is new to me. This is it's made by Quilter's Dream, I think that's the name of the brand, but they also usually make the cotton battings. This is a polyester batting. It was $10.99 a metre, and I only needed 1.5 meters, so it's a nice cheap batting to use. I said I'd talk about thread, and I would talk about the Isocord thread that I use. So this is one of them. The purple one's currently on the machine at the minute because that's the one I'm using, and this is what it looks like. It comes on a green cone. It's a polyester thread, and it's 40 weight, and it's marketed as an embroidery thread, but I know that Leah Day, for example, really likes using this thread, and this is what we used on the long arms at my sewing room as well. And it's just a really nice thread, doesn't leave very much fluff in the machine because it's polyester, it goes through smoothly. I have never experienced a breakage with this, and it always stitches nicely. I don't have worries with tension on my machine, it just seems to really like it. This is just like, if you just want to get sewing, you want to get quilting without the headaches, and trying to do, you know, use special threads, this is a really good one. Each direction on this quilt, I'm quilting it about 1.5 inches apart. I have only used one bobbin so far on this project, and for my bobbin thread I use Deco Bob by Wonderful, and this one I have not got very much left, but normally when it's full, it's kind of out here. I suppose it looks more like this guy when it's full. And these ones I think are $10.99 each, or around that. You might find it cheaper in other places, but this is an 80 weight thread, so it's lighter on the back, and that means that when I have a backing that is completely different to the front, you can't see the stitches. I mean, the tension's pretty good on this quilt too, which is nice. These two play really well together, so that's just my recommendation for the thread. And you get more on the bobbin too. That's the other advantage for this. That's probably the reason why I've only used one bobbin so far on this quilt. So this is what this quilt looks like. Can you see it? So when I last did a video blog, I hadn't pieced it all together. It took me it took me listening to 3 podcasts to actually finish piecing all together and press it, and to piece the back. And the backing fabric, I'll show you that very quickly, is a Lonnie Rossi, I think they're called, print. It was a half-price print in the bargain bin at the shop. You can see the other fabrics through it because it's a lighter colour. So I'm going to bring it closer and so you can see a little bit better detail. It's got a very slight amount of metallic thread to it, which is quite nice. But yeah, because it was cheap, that's why it's on the back. And I don't think it doesn't go with the colours on the front either, so that's the other reason I chose that. One more thing I wanted to ask, and that is if anyone has any tips on walking feet. So with this quilt, what has happened is, when I start quilting, the stitches are quite small at the start, because I'm quilting from here through to the other side. At this end, the stitches are quite small. As the weight of the quilt falls off the back of the table, which I can't put anything else behind to try and make it take the weight a little bit better, the stitches get longer because it's getting pulled, so I have to be really careful when I'm holding onto it. And because it's the walking foot, I expected it to kind of feed nicer, but it was bunching up on the back if I didn't take the pressure off the presser foot a little bit more on the machine. So I've loosened the presser foot tension, but it almost works almost like a normal sewing machine foot now because of that. So it's not really I'm having to kind of monitor the feed on it a bit more than I would normally have to on a walking foot quilt. And it's also not necessarily sewing very straight. I don't know whether or not you can actually see any examples of that, but it's not a perfectly straight line. There's a little bit of a wiggle to it, and again I think that's to do with the walking foot not really working as a walking foot. So if anyone has any tips on walking feet, I would really appreciate it. So thanks for joining me again, and hopefully I will have another update tomorrow, if not next week, at the guild, or at least have some kind of roundup of what we did there and some photos maybe. And so if you want to see those, it is http://blog, so that's basically don't write www, so it's blog.pennydog.com. I'm also on Instagram at PennyDog, and if you also want to see the videos from tomorrow that I'll be doing for the shop for the open house to promote my classes, if you follow at mysewingroom.ca on Instagram as well, they should be on there. So I think they're going to stagger them. They're not going to post them all tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be able to get those and share those with you too. Thanks.